I want you to imagine something for a second. If it, suddenly started raining flawless diamonds tomorrow morning, just everywhere,
Right.
they would literally be completely worthless by Tuesday. When you'd be out there sweeping them into the gutter just to keep them from scratching your car in the driveway,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. They'd just be a nuisance.
Exactly. Because scarcity is what actually gives things value. So the question you have to ask yourself is, how do you stand out when everyone on Earth has a genius at their fingertips?
I mean, it really is the defining dilemma of our time. When you think about it, intelligence, which has basically been humanity's primary bottleneck for, thousands of years, when that is no longer a scarce resource, the entire equation of human value just flips completely upside down.
And that is exactly the mission of our deep dive today. We are going to explore why, paradoxically, as artificial intelligence becomes infinitely more advanced, your actual human judgment is emerging as the most vital and scarce asset on the planet.
Yeah, it's a fascinating shift.
It really is. And we're drawing our insights today from a phenomenal series called Living with AI, which is part of the Rogue Sculpture project.
Such a great collection.
It is. What I love about these sources, which, by the way, are connected to the forthcoming book, Rogues in Paradise, is that they don't get bogged down in all the tech specs or benchmark scores.
Yeah, no boring charts.
Exactly. They look at the cultural, the societal, and the profoundly human shockwaves of this technology.
Yeah.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because to really understand where we are going, we have to understand why this current shift is fundamentally different from literally any tech upgrade humanity has ever experienced before.
So basically, every major technological revolution in history has essentially been about eliminating a specific type of friction.
Friction, right?
Yeah. So the steam engine comes along and it eliminates the friction of physical labor, We basically outsourced human and animal muscle to machines.
Right, you don't need 100 horses to pull a train anymore.
Exactly. And then electricity arrives, and that eliminates the friction of time and space. I mean, suddenly factories could just run all night.
Geography mattered less.
Exactly. The whole pace of industry just accelerated massively.
And then, in our own lifetimes, the computing and internet revolution eliminated the friction of information.
Yes.
Like we weren't limited by physical filing cabinets or, waiting for the mail to arrive. We could just move these absolute mountains of data across the globe in milliseconds.
Right, but here's the thing. In all of those eras, so steam, electricity, traditional computing, the technology acted as a lever. A lever?
Yeah, like it amplified our output, but you still had to physically or mentally push the lever.
Ah, I see what you mean. You had to operate it.
Right. Now, with AI becoming this seamless part of everyday life, we aren't just amplifying physical effort or data storage anymore. AI is actually eliminating the friction of thinking itself. And that is a fundamental rupture in the entire history of human technology.
The sources detail this psychological shift so beautifully in episode 1 of the series. They talk about how we are moving away from AI acting as just a tool, and we're moving toward AI acting as a collaborator.
Right, which is a massive distinction.
Ah.
Because a tool is, it's inherently passive.
Like a hammer.
Exactly. A hammer just sits there on a workbench until you pick it up.
But now we are dealing with intelligent agents. And an agent doesn't just answer a single question. It can take a high-level goal and then execute all the subtasks autonomously.
It synthesizes.
Right. It synthesizes, it drafts, it codes, it analyzes. It even adjusts itself based on the context you give it.
It's like going from riding a bicycle, where I am doing literally all the pedaling, the balancing, the steering.
Yeah.
And if I stop pedaling, we fall over. But moving to AI is like riding a horse. The horse already knows the way home. It does all the walking. It actively avoids the ditches on its own.
Yeah, you don't have to micromanage its legs.
Exactly. I don't micromanage the legs, but I still have to hold the reins and, decide if going home is actually the right decision in the first place.
What's fascinating here is that this kind of cognitive offloading fundamentally changes where we spend our mental energy.
How so?
Well, when you are on that bicycle, your brain is just consumed by the mechanics of the journey, right? You're navigating every single bump in the road.
Yeah, you're focused on the pedals.
But when you offload those mechanics to a capable agent, your job elevates from micromanaging the process to macromanaging the destination.
No, that's good.
With AI agents, we are suddenly freed from all that mechanical pedaling of routine cognitive work.
Right. But if the AI is doing the driving, if it's the horse in this scenario, That completely breaks how we currently use the internet, doesn't it?
Completely shatters it.
Because we are incredibly used to driving ourselves through search engines. I mean, you type in a keyword, you get 10 blue links, you click around, you figure it out.
Right.
But episode 2 of this series points out that this version of search is essentially dying.
It is mutating rapidly. It's moving from search into recommendation, and the implications of that are staggering for the entire underlying architecture of the web.
Because right now, the internet is built almost entirely on SEO, right?
Yeah.
Search engine optimization.
Yes, which is, let's be honest, essentially a giant popularity contest mixed with keyword stuffing.
Yeah, just trying to trick the algorithm.
Exactly. But when you have an AI agent, you don't want 10 blue links to sift through. You don't want to do the work. You want a single, synthesized, accurate answer delivered instantly. And that right there breaks the traditional internet economy. Because if people aren't clicking through to those recipe blogs or to news sites, how does a creator or a business actually survive?
Right, there's no ad revenue.
Exactly. The sources argue that SEO is being forced to transform. It's shifting from a currency of keywords into a currency of trust and citations.
But wait, if search just becomes, recommendation, aren't we just handing over the keys to an AI that just spoon feeds us whatever it wants?
That is the big fear, yeah.
Like, how do you, the listener sitting at home, how do you know what's actually real? If I'm not doing the searching and evaluating the sources myself, aren't I just blindly trusting this black box that is frankly known to make things up? We've all heard about AI hallucinations.
Oh, absolutely. And that exact fear is what is driving this whole evolution. You really have to look at how an AI actually generates text in the first place. It isn't pulling facts from a database like a traditional search engine does. It uses complex probability to predict the next most likely token or, a piece of a word in a sentence.
So it's basically guessing what sounds right.
Exactly. It's absolutely brilliant at mimicking language patterns, but it doesn't inherently know what is true. That's why it hallucinates. But if a platform wants its AI to be actually useful in the real world, it cannot afford to feed its users hallucinations.
Well, yeah, because if the AI gives me fake legal advice or like a completely made-up historical fact, I'm going to stop using the product entirely.
Precisely, which is why the big tech companies have to anchor their AI models to high-quality, verified information.
Oh, I see.
Websites in the future won't survive on sheer traffic volume or clickbait titles because an AI doesn't fall for clickbait. It doesn't care about a catchy headline.
Right, it just wants the data.
Yes. It shifts the entire internet from a popularity contest into basically a rigorous background check.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because this is directly linked to what the Rogue Sculpture series calls the curse of abundance.
Yes. Episode 3 and Episode 3B outline this brilliant paradox.
Because we usually think of abundance as a universally good thing, right? Like more food, more resources, more connectivity.
Generally, yes. But there is an economic tipping point. When information and intelligence become infinitely abundant, they completely lose their premium value.
Right. Let's bring this right down to you, the listener. Just think about your own day-to-day life, your job, your relationships. What are the decisions you make every single day that require a real gut check?
Yeah, those human moments.
Right, those moments where the spreadsheet clearly says one thing, but you had to weigh a colleague's feelings or lean on some painful past failure or draw a really hard ethical boundary.
An AI simply cannot compute a gut check.
Exactly, because it doesn't have a gut. It hasn't lived. And that lived experience, that deeply human purpose, that is your currency in the wisdom economy. If intelligence is cheap, human judgment becomes the only rare commodity left.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it explains why our fundamental advantage as a species is completely shifting.
How so?
Well, in the knowledge economy, your value is tied to retention and processing power. But now, an AI can generate 1,000 strategic options for a business in an instant. What the AI cannot do is feel the ethical weight of choosing one of those options over the other.
Right. It doesn't have skin in the game.
That is the crucial mechanism. An AI doesn't lose its job if the strategy fails.
No.
It doesn't feel the social ostracization of making a deeply unethical choice. It doesn't have to look a client in the eye and deliver bad news.
Producing this rain of intelligence isn't magic.
No, it is not.
There is no literal cloud up in the sky.
This is exactly what Episode 3A, Cosmic Abundance, dives into, the sheer physical toll of the wisdom economy.
The actual hardware.
Yeah. To sustain this level of artificial intelligence, humanity's demand for computing power is skyrocketing exponentially, and we are rapidly, very rapidly, pushing the absolute limits of our terrestrial power grid.
Which totally makes sense when you think about the mechanism we were talking about earlier. Because when I do a traditional Google search, the server is basically just fetching a static link that already exists on a shelf somewhere.
Right, it's cheap.
But when I ask an AI a complex question, it is performing billions of these crazy math equations, matrix multiplications in real time just to generate that answer word by word.
And all that math generates an immense amount of heat, like massive amounts. Data centers today are consuming as much power as entire nations.
Nations, really?
Yes. And they are using millions and millions of gallons of fresh water just to keep the servers from literally melting down.
The sources talk about engineering discussions that used to be strictly confined to, like, sci-fi novels. Because the energy and cooling demands are so insanely high down here on Earth, we are actually we're talking about orbital computing.
Yes, putting server farms in space.
It sounds crazy.
It sounds crazy, but space actually solves two massive infrastructure problems for AI. First off, real estate up there is infinite. Second, you have access to space-based solar power. Down here on Earth, our solar energy is heavily limited by weather, the day-night cycle, and just atmospheric scattering.
Obviously, the sun goes down.
Exactly. But in orbit, you can harvest the sun's energy continuously at full strength, 247, and use it to power these massive AI brains directly. It's not just a thought experiment. We are restructuring our entire relationship with energy on a cosmic scale just to feed the intelligence we are creating.
Okay, so what does this all mean? Because, wait, hold on. We're talking about launching servers into orbit. That sounds completely backward. Well, aren't we just running away from the problem instead of figuring out how to build more efficient systems down here? It really puts a massive responsibility on all of our shoulders. I mean, we have gone from the steam engine replacing our muscles, to electricity lighting up our nights, to computers replacing our filing cabinets, to AI replacing the mundane mechanic of our thinking.
It's a huge leap.
And now we're looking at space-based solar power just to keep the lights on for these digital brains. But through all of that staggering planetary evolution, the core takeaway of this deep dive is so wonderfully human. Your most valuable trait isn't how much data you can process. It's your human judgment. It's your wisdom.
It is truly the one thing you possess that cannot be coded into a microchip.
Absolutely. Now, before we wrap up, I want to explicitly credit the incredible sources that guided our conversation today. The Living with AI series from the Rogues Culture Project is just an absolute must-read.
Highly recommend it.
Yeah, if you are intrigued by these themes of culture, identity, history, and how AI intersects with all of it, you really need to check them out. You can find their essays, videos, podcasts, and even read sample chapters of the forthcoming book, Rogues in Paradise, over at roguesinparadise.com, Sample 1.
And, they are continuing this exploration. The next installment in their series is called The Mindworkers, Mindful Creators in the AI Era, which is coming soon.
Oh, that sounds fascinating. We've covered a massive amount of ground today, from bicycles and horses to raining diamonds and orbital servers. But as we sign off, I want to leave you, the listener, with a final thought to mull over as you navigate this new world where raw intelligence just flows like electricity.
Think about this. As AI continues to saturate every corner of our lives, and human judgment truly becomes our most valuable and scarce asset, how long will it be before we start seeing 100% human-judged or 100% human-created labels on corporate decisions, on news articles, or on consumer products?
Wow.
We might soon look for those markers of human wisdom exactly the same way we look for organic labels on our food today. We are going to crave the authenticity of the human touch.
A premium label for human wisdom. I love that. So the next time you feel overwhelmed by a machine that seems to know everything, just remember, it doesn't have skin in the game. The horse can walk, but you choose the destination. Until next time.